So now we're going to think about how to select words for explicit, let's call it at the board instruction. These are my criteria that I use. If I'm going to spend 5 or 10 minutes of valuable class time, I want to know, is the word useful? Are students likely to encounter it again? Is it a word that educated people are expected to know? A lot of people favor what they call SAT words. I'm not crazy about that term, although I use it because everybody knows what it means. But really, the words that are called SAT words are really just words that educated people are expected to know. All right. Secondly is, how much leverage do I have in this word? How much is that word enabling the student to learn other words? Does the word have a word component, a Latin or Greek root that applies to other words? Because if it does, then I can use that word to leverage the teaching of other words that are like it. And thirdly, this is really important, the research shows us that we need to model words with enthusiasm. That makes them much more memorable. So I have to ask myself, am I enthusiastic about this word? Do I have stories about this word? Do I think that I can make this word interesting? So those are my 3 criteria for whether I'm going to spend my class time with this word. All right, now I'm going to show you 2 models for explicit instruction. The first is what I call a word map, also called a semantic map. If you were to do this in class, it would take, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Obviously, we're going to do it a lot faster than that here. And when I teach this to my students, I make them write the word map so that it's not just, going to the word movies. They have to write it down. And they always ask me, why do we have to write it down? And I always say, to make your fingers smart. All right, so here we go. So we start with a nonverbal representation. And I would ask the students, what do we have here? How would you describe this? Using, our word is going to be an adjective. So I would cue it up with the word very. So this picture shows something that is very, and they might say confusing, complicated, asymmetrical. All right, the word is intricate. All right, so we get them thinking by showing them a nonverbal representation. And then here's our star of the show. Our word is intricate. It pluralizes this way. So they have to, this is also a spelling lesson. All right, now I'm going to give them a list of synonyms and near synonyms. If I did a good job at this list, there will be some words here that they already know, some words that are friends, some words that are acquaintances, and some words that are strangers, so that they're creating in their own mind an association. And remember, it's near synonyms as well as synonyms, so that I have a nice healthy list here. Now we're going to look at antonyms. All right. Now remember, we're having the students write this down. Then we have related words. This is our leverage. So I'm learning the root, trick, and I have extricate, trick. The actual word trick is related to this. And intrigue. Sometimes over time, a K becomes a G in the language. But all of those words are related in the same family. Now, all of this is helping us locate that word in various parts of our brain so that we have multiple access points for the word. All right, then we have some more visuals, non-examples and examples. And finally, the most important, the most sophisticated thing you can do with a word, which is to use it in a sentence. So our sentence here is a model of a well-written, sophisticated sentence that also gives us cultural literacy. So we have a sentence here about the duties of the Secretary of State. All right, and they have to write all of that down. And that's an example of a word map, also called a semantic map. Now, you might be thinking, I would be if I were still in the classroom, I would be thinking, that's very nice, but I don't have time to do that, which is very true. The ideal situation is to have the students learn how to do this and to have them do this as project, and then they can present it to the class. And then that's also hitting the Common Core standard of doing oral presentations. All right, but it does take a fair amount of time, not really that much time to do it, but I would recommend modeling this for the students and then having them create the PowerPoints to do this. And you can also display these around your room, and that increases the moments of exposure. All right, so that's Model 1, the word map. Now I'm very, very excited to present this next map to you. It's not a map, it's a device for teaching vocabulary. I call it decent exposure. I have 100 of these, literally 100 of these, that are free, and I hope you'll use them on my website, which is www.amybenjamin.com. I'll repeat that, but it's pretty easy to remember, amybenjamin.com. If you go to that website, you will find 4 volumes of decent exposure. I know we have at least one AP literature person out there. This is really going to be good for you. All right, now the name of our webinar is not just for English class. So if we look at the word usurp, obviously that is a word that works very well in social studies as well as English. So this is how we start off. We can see, first of all, it is a word that appears in the SAT, ACT, top 200. We see a picture of, it looks like an invading force landing for purposes of conquest. All right, now here's how it works. We bring on a sentence. That is a sentence from literature. It's from E.M. Forster's A Room with a View. Now what we have here are 4 of these sentences. Here's the next one. Now we have a different form of the word, usurpations. Here's our sentence. This is from the Declaration of Independence. Now we have, and again, you have to picture the students. It's not just the movies. They have to write these sentences, thus giving them a nice little model of a sentence and punctuation. All right, this is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and then the last of the 4, March of the Sentences, is from Alice in Wonderland. All right, and then what we have here is, I see at this point we would ask the students, right now that you've seen that word in 4 different contexts, what do you think it probably means? Now they can make an educated guess. And then we have some synonyms, antonyms, and forms. All right, and that is what I'm calling decent exposure. And again, there are 100 of those on my website. All right.